Well, we've repaired the arm on the hoverbot. You can see there it's a red arm that's been markered black. That broke when I hit a tree. Some guys were distracting me, and I'm not sure, but I went to retrieve my quadcopter about maybe a couple hundred yards away, and I had a 4,000 milliamp 3-cell, and they were driving a Traxxas and another, I don't know, Losi or something, on 3 cells. And when I got home, I noticed that I didn't have a 4-cell or a 3-cell 4,000 milliamp, one of the good ones, with me, it was gone. So I put a thing in Craigslist to see if somebody finds it at the park. But what I wanted to show you right now is that it's sitting on the desk right now, the hoverbot, and you wouldn't think that that was a stable setting for IMU calibration. So you would start adjusting on, this is the Freeflight program, which is quite limited, but still does the job. Gives you data, and you can see the height value there is 65, 64, and when I went out for a test flight about an hour ago, it was at 38 or something, and when I turned on the barometer, the quadcopter would drop immediately, even though it was hovering. So that's something to check, is your barometric setting. This is what I'm getting at sea level, basically, about 50 feet above sea level, 45, 50 feet. And now look at the roll angle versus the pitch angle. Now these numbers are pretty significant, and sitting on the table it looks very level, and personally I have used levels and bubbles and all that, and I really think that at times the board itself, what angle it's on being mounted, whether or not it's perfectly level. So when you're mounting your board, you should have your platform that you're mounting it on perfectly level, and keep it level, and keep your board level, because if your board's maybe tilted or something like that, you're going to get very, very off readings when you check it out on the computer. So you might do this, I'll see if I can show you this, you might lift one side and try to get it to 0 and shim it or something, but now you're tilting the board itself, so you're not really correcting anything of the body of the quadcopter, because the arms at distance, they would seem to be the contributing factor, but when you correct it like this, like I did before, I had it hovering between negative and positive here. So if I've got a low 0 number like that, zipping back and forth, you would think that would be a really good level setting. And I've had the front, or the top number, the pitch angle, also set 0. And what's happened is I've gone out and I've had extreme drift way beyond the control trim level on the controller, and I had to reset it, calibrate it with the feet on it, and just on a most level surface I could find in the hallway, and it hovered perfectly and locked in with the baro and maintained altitude as well as position left to right, forward to back. So that's something to really be aware of, is how level is your actual flight controller when you're doing an IMU calibration. Is it offset to start with, or is it level? And then you can go on figuring out whether or not your quadcopter frame is level, I think. Because free flights cause a lot of problems for people, and many have abandoned it. I bought a second board because somebody couldn't get it working right, and I got it working okay. So it's just a matter of being, persistent with your settings and not jumping to conclusions, which we all do. I had a prop rotating the wrong way today, and I thought that I had screwed up the controller board with the crash that I had into a tree, but it turned out that the prop was set up wrong, and I've put these props on hundreds of times in the last year. So always check carefully, and then also your baro. If you're going to set your baro, or you're going to turn it on a Freeflight board, 1.3 whiteboard, make sure that you're up high enough that you can catch it if it starts falling because the baro's off. And it might be just because the baro has a piece of dust in it, or it's been jostled, or you've put, somebody moving around, it's had the finger put over it and blocked the hole and stopped all air getting in there and recalibrated itself after you know, a few hours maybe. I don't know what to say, but now it's working fine. So there's the USB connector to the Freeflight board, which is going into the computer, and it's quite light. It's only about 3 grams, so I'll leave it on the body of the quadcopter, and we're going to use this small Dell Latitude for mission planner with the APM 2.5, as well as with the Freeflight controller software. So we'll have mission planner, which this is for the APM, and then we'll also have the Freeflight software on this computer to go into the backpack because it's smaller and it lasts longer on the battery. It ran out of computer time today, and this is only USB 1, so I'm not able to record with the Hones Tech video to DVD capture card. So carrying the big computer, the Vostro, out, it only runs for about 30 minutes, 25 minutes, 40 minutes maybe, and it's not enough time to actually record video of in-flight activities. So I might get a digital recorder if I can afford it, try to sell a few more rocket stoves this month. Okay, well here we are, and I forgot the chip for the hoverbot, so I'm going to have to use this out of the camera. But here's the antenna setup. We've got the antenna there, we've got the computer here today, so we're going to record the on-flight data and see when I'm switching between the 2 antennas which one is better. We've got quite a bit of room here to fly, so we'll check altitude as well. We've got the skew planer, and we've got my helical 7-turn there. Let's see how it works. Hit a tree, and what would that do coming out of the sky if you were over people or cars or a dog or something? Think about that. That's a DJI arm too. Introducing the Freeflight 1.3 board. Quite old, maybe 2 years old, I'm not sure. But I just took it out and I was flying it, and the plushes are working well. I had a wiring problem with the motors. Now, the way I look at things is that if this would be 1 motor, 2 motor, 3 motor, 4 motor, going clockwise. But with the Freeflight board, this is 1 motor, this is 2 motor, so that clockwise are 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4 are the counterclockwise props. Now, in the plug-in on the board here, you would think that it would start at 1. Now that was the first thing that set me off, but 1 and 2 are the PTZ for the camera gimbal, and then 3, 4, 5, and 6 are the motors. So 3 is number 1 motor, so yeah, you put that there. And then 2 is 4, so 4 we think is number 2 motor. So I had it hooked up here, and I should have had it hooked up here. So number 2 motor goes in that position there, where's 3 plug. or 4, sorry, and then 5 is here, and then 6 is here. So it's quite convoluted, and you know, I guess it's good that it works at all, but I wanted to show you the baro on this one. I'm just modifying. This is my second board, so I'm putting the baro mod in. Now I screwed up a bit. There's a really small chip right there, you can see, and I desoldered it by mistake. But I think I've got it back on both contacts, feebly, but it's there. I don't really want to mess with it because I don't have another one, and it did start when I turned it on. So we're going to get this baro set up, because then we'll have alt hold on this backup board as well as on the Hoverbots board. And we trimmed it out, and it trimmed really nicely, and it's quite quiet. It has the RC timer motors, and which look exactly like the same 2830 the JDRONE motors are, which was DIY drones. And but I have the plush already, so I'm going to sell that stuff and not bother using those new motors. So there's the Freeflight board. It's a really good board. You know, over the year I've read about it. There's a lot of things that say it's one of the better boards for camera work, and I think that it is super stable. You don't get that wobble like in a NASA, and majority of NASA videos you'll notice that there's a little bit of a wobble side to side as it's moving forward. And I think that a lot of people had started adjusting things really quickly before they get the balance of their motors and their ESCs and everything working properly, and they blame a lot on the board itself, whereas it's really everything that plays a part, of course, in your consistency and how the board's going to be able to perform. It's like giving a race car driver a Lada or something. It's not going to, he could be the best driver in the world, but he's still not going to keep up with Formula One cars in a Lada. So I started out with a Lada, and now I'm starting to get into more of the restored Mustang, restored muscle car thing with the Hoverbot with those big motors. But this is a really good step forward, and I'm going to silicone this now. I'm going to put a blob of silicone on there that'll have edges on it that are undercut, so I can pull it off if I have to. But I'm going to seal in that now, and then we're going to hook up the baro board itself, which is this small chip board right here, to the Freeflight board, and we're going to have a second quad that's flying. And this is really light. This could be my next FPV quad if I didn't have a reptile frame coming, I guess. But I think I'm going to build up the reptile frame with the Ardu pilot, and basically fly FPV with that strictly. So there we go. And here I've finished the Freeflight modification. I've attached the wires to some servo connectors. Since there's 6 pins on here that have to be connected on the actual board, we're going to connect the servo pins onto this board so that this one will be able to be moved if required. We're going to let that silicone set up there just to add a little bit of insulation between the contact pads and the wires that are there now, because who knows, they could get moved or something, or there could be a filament. But I cleared each channel between the wires, and they're all clean, so it should work. And we're going to check it right now on the program for Freeflight. So here we go. The desk is becoming very messy, as you can see, but we'll clean it up for the show. Here we go. We're going to hook up the power first, and that starts at this end. There we go. And then we're going to hook up signal to ground. So we're going to reverse this. We have exposed wires here, so we don't want to put any power on the board yet until we clear all these wires and be sure that the cat is not going to be jumping up on this while we're hooking up the power. And what we're looking for is the height control checkbox and a number flickering where the height, the baro is giving some information on the actual height it is calculating. So there we go. Here we go, all or nothing. Sounds good so far. Crazy exposed wires. Now we're on here, COM port 4, and we're going to open it up and see if we have something going on. Watch the height value. And there we go. We have an active barometer on the second Freeflight board. So 2 in a row, I didn't screw them up. I have to test fly it, but I'm going to check. There it is, the height lock grayed out letters and a checkbox, so you can't really change it. It's just constantly on. And we'll hook up channel 5 to the receiver now, and hopefully we'll have a alt hold on this quadcopter. Even though it's a little bit beat up, it's super light, and it might be fun to just fly around for a change out front. So there you go. That's this week's update on the second quadcopter progress. Arducopter is sitting there in the box. We have the small computer set up so that we will be able to use Arducopter Mission Planner and take this computer with us to the field, but it does not record video. So we have to get a digital video recorder. So if anybody has one that works well for them, that takes video in and records to SD card or something, please let us know, because we need to know which one is the most affordable, and if there's any problems with the $60 ones on eBay. There you go. Barometer installed on Freeflight 1.3 board. Not sure if this works on the later boards.